Greetings, fellow seekers of slumber. Tonight, we'll explore the House of Black and White, a place of many faces and many gods, a sanctum of shadow and water, where the gift of death is the ultimate mercy. Also, the most thorough identity erasure service in the known world. The reality is, becoming a faceless man is not a career choice. It's a suicide of the self. Before we begin, I'd love to know where you are listening from and whether the sun has set for you in your corner of the world. It's interesting to see where you guys tune in from. Now, with lights low and your mind at rest, let us gently wander across the narrow sea and ease into the mysteries that await within those black and white doors. You do not arrive in Bravos. You wash up on its shores, another piece of human debris delivered by the tide. This is not a city that welcomes you. It is a city that tolerates your presence, assuming you have something to offer or something to hide. You, of course, have both. You are not a tourist here to marvel at the architecture. You are a refugee, fleeing the wreckage of a life that has become unbearable. Every face in the crowd is a potential threat, a ghost from the past you are desperate to bury. This isn't an adventure. It's the grim, final act of a tragedy you authored. Let's just say Bravos functions as the world's most effective and least sentimental witness protection program. Your past life is the client, and the fee for its permanent relocation is your soul. Your feet, numb with cold and exhaustion, finally carry you away from the chaotic waterfronts and into the quieter, more ancient parts of the city. You are looking for a door, a very specific door. The journey to become a faceless man begins not with a vow or a secret handshake, but with this desperate pilgrimage to Bravos. The city itself is a monument to the very concept of erasure that the guild embodies. It was founded by escaped slaves from the Valyrian freehold, people who fled their masters and sought a place where their past identities could be shed like a snake's skin. This foundational history of refuge and reinvention is baked into the city's DNA, making it the only logical home for a faith built on the principle that true freedom is found by becoming no one at all. You find the building exactly where the stories say it is. It is large but unadorned. A severe, imposing structure of black and white stone with no windows on its ground floor. The doors, one of weirwood and one of ebony, stand slightly ajar. Pushing one open requires more strength than you expect. The moment you cross the threshold, the world changes. The chaotic noise of the city vanishes, swallowed by a profound, unnerving silence. The air is still and cold, carrying a faint, clean scent. Something like soap and sterile linen, but with a metallic undertone you cannot place. The main hall is a cavern of shadows and faith. Along the walls, alcoves hold carved wooden thrones, each occupied by an idol. You see the stranger of the seven, the black goat of Kuha, the lion of night, dozens of gods of death, all housed under one roof, a grim pantheon of finality. In the center of the room is a black pool of water, its surface as still as glass. A few silent figures kneel by its edge, while others drink from it with quiet reverence. This is the public face of the temple, a place where the suffering come for a painless end, an elegant, self-service euthanasia clinic. You are not here for that. You are here to apply for a staff position. A priest emerges from the gloom. His face is gentle, his robes are simple, and his smile never reaches his eyes. Welcome to the interview. There are no pleasantries, no small talk, just a single, endlessly repeated question. Who are you? You give him your name. He shakes his head. You tell him where you came from. He waits. You tell him the story of your pain, the reason you stand before him, broken and desperate. He listens with the detached patience of a man who has heard it all before. The reality is, this isn't a theological debate. It is a filtering mechanism. He is gauging your desperation, testing the absolute destruction of your ego. He is the human resources manager for a very exclusive, very permanent line of work. And he needs to be sure you have no other professional prospects. This initial encounter is the true first test of the faceless men. The priests must weed out the merely curious, the vengeful, and those who still possess a shred of hope or identity. The constant denials and the simple, probing question are designed to break down any remaining walls of self. Only when you can truthfully answer no one are you deemed a candidate worthy of consideration. It's a brutal psychological audit, and passing means admitting you are nothing. Congratulations. You've made it past the front desk. Now the real work begins. The core philosophy of the House of Black and White is rooted in a profound theological belief that all the disparate death gods worshipped across the world are merely different faces of a single, universal deity. The many-faced God is not one God among many, but the ultimate reality of death itself, manifesting in whatever form a culture can comprehend. This syncretic doctrine is what allows the faceless men to justify their actions. They are not murderers for hire. They are the instruments of this God, delivering his gift as a sacrament. This belief transforms assassination from a criminal act into a holy duty, making their temple not just a headquarters, but a place of genuine, if terrifying, worship. Your acceptance is not marked with a ceremony. It is marked with a simple, quiet command. You are to divest yourself of everything, every coin, every thread of clothing you arrived in, every hidden keepsake that connects you to the name you no longer claim. You are led back out into the cold Bravosy air, to the edge of a canal whose water is the color of slate. One by one, you must consign your life to the depths. The worn leather pouch with its few remaining coins. Gone. The rough-spun tunic that carries the scent of your homeland. Gone. A faded drawing, a lock of hair, a good luck charm worn smooth with years of anxious rubbing. All of it must go. Each splash is a tiny death, a final, irreversible severing. This is not some gentle, monastic vow of poverty. This is a forced bankruptcy of the soul. You are liquidating your entire existence, and the entry fee into your new life is everything you ever were. The acolytes of the house watch with placid indifference. They have seen this 1,000 times. It is a routine administrative procedure. You are left standing in nothing but a simple course shift. Cold. Exposed, the wind off the canal feels like a physical blow against your skin. The reality of your situation settles in not as a thought, but as a physical state. You own nothing. You are nothing. Let's just say this is the most aggressive form of decluttering imaginable. It isn't about tidying up your life. It is about canceling it altogether. You have thrown away the book of your life, and now you must burn the library card that proves you could ever read it. With the final item gone, you are led back into the silent, cold heart of the temple. The physical act is complete. But as you walk through the doors, you understand this was merely the prelude. They have taken your things, the external signifiers of your identity. Now, they will begin the far more difficult work of taking the identity itself. The things were the easy part. The memories are embedded much deeper. This ritual of divestment is the first practical lesson in the doctrine of the faceless men. On a purely pragmatic level, personal effects are a liability. A familiar cloak or a ring from a past life is a loose thread that could unravel a carefully constructed identity during a mission. They are security risks in a profession that deals in absolute secrecy. But the true purpose is philosophical: to serve the many-faced God. A disciple must become a perfect instrument, a blank vessel waiting to be filled. Possessions anchor the self, tethering the soul to a history, a name, and an ego. By destroying these anchors, the acolyte begins the long, painful process of becoming truly empty, ready to serve without desire, memory, or allegiance to anyone but the God of death. You imagined your training would involve ancient secrets whispered in shadows, or perhaps the subtle art of poisons and blades. You were wrong. Your training begins with a broom, and a bucket, and a coarse scrubbing brush. You are assigned to the menial labor of the house, a position that is equal parts janitor, custodian, and mortician's assistant. Your days are a repeating cycle of drudgery. You sweep the great hall, the dust of ages swirling in the thin light. You scrub the stone floors until your knuckles are raw and your back is a knot of pain. The work is grim. It is intimate. You are the one who cleans the central pool, fishing out the empty clay cups left by those who came to drink. You are the one who is called when one of the supplicants has finally accepted the gift. You help carry the bodies. They are heavy and limp, an awkward final burden. You learn to wash them with cold water and vinegar, a smell that will forever be linked in your mind with the stillness of death. You are not just cleaning a temple. You are tending to the machinery of euthanasia. This is not a test of your skill or your intellect. It is a test of your stomach. There is no glory here, no hidden wisdom in the patterns you sweep into the dust. The lesson is the labor itself. It is a relentless, soul-crushing routine designed to grind away any lingering traces of pride or self-importance. The reality is, this is not an apprenticeship. It is the world's most morbidly focused unpaid internship. You are not a student of arcane arts. You are the night shift cleaner in a hospice. Let's just say it is character building. If by character you mean a hollowed-out shell of a person who no longer gags at the smell of a fresh corpse, day after day, week after week, the work continues until you stop thinking about it, until you stop feeling anything at all. This phase of service is a crucial instrument of the faceless men's pedagogy. Its primary purpose is to annihilate the ego completely. A person with ambition, pride, or a sense of self-worth cannot become no one. The relentless, thankless, and often disgusting labor acts as a powerful abrasive against the disciple's identity. Furthermore, it forces a confrontation with death in its least romantic form. Before an acolyte can be tasked with delivering the gift, they must understand what it truly is: not a grand departure, but a biological cessation. They must know the weight of a body, the smell of a morgue, and the mundane reality of cleaning up after the dead. It strips the act of killing of all potential glory, reframing it as a simple physical service. Just as the mindless drudgery of cleaning becomes your new reality, the rules change. The kindly man finds you one evening. He tells you 3 things. He claims to have been a coin turner in his youth. He says the Sealord of Brivos has a new courtesan. He tells you a certain iron bank key holder has died. 2 of these are true. 1 is a lie. Your task is to know which is which. You guess. You guess wrong. The sting of a thin, hard switch across your legs is the immediate, sharp reply. Welcome to the next stage of your education. This is the game of faces. Every day, you are presented with new information, new secrets, new facts, and a lie nestled among them like a viper in a basket of eggs. Your only job is to find it. Failure is met with swift, simple pain. The game is not about knowledge. It is about perception. You begin to watch him. Not his words, but his face. The slight crinkle at the corner of his eye. The almost imperceptible tension in his jaw. The rhythm of his breathing. You are learning to dismantle a human being into a collection of tells. A series of data points that betray the truth. The game soon evolves. He begins to ask you about your day, about the bodies you washed, about the floors you swept, and he asks you about the person you used to be. You must answer, and you must lie. You invent a new past for yourself, a new history, a new pain. He watches you with the same intensity you now watch him. And when your lie is clumsy, when a flicker of your true memory surfaces in your eyes, the switch comes again. The reality is, you are enrolled in a brutal, hands-on seminar for applied deception. This is not a Socratic dialogue. It's a high-stakes polygraph test where the machine is a pitiless observer and the penalty for failure is a sharp, stinging lesson in humility. This is more than a game. It is a fundamental rewiring of your cognitive processes. You are learning that truth is a commodity, something to be disguised or deployed for tactical advantage. Let's just say this is advanced behavioral psychology, taught with the subtlety of a cudgel. You are being trained to be a perfect liar. And to do that, you must first become a perfect detector of lies. The pain is not punishment. It is conditioning, associating failure with a physical stimulus until the act of both spotting and crafting a convincing lie becomes pure instinct. The game of faces is the crucible in which a faceless man's core skills are forged. It is not merely about learning to act. It is about learning to see. By being forced to dissect the micro-expressions and unconscious tells of a master, the acolyte learns to read the secret language of the human face. This makes them peerless interrogators and observers, capable of sifting truth from deception in any interaction. Conversely, by being punished for their own failures in lying, they are stripped of their own tells. The training burns away their natural reactions, leaving a placid, controlled mask. It is how they learn to see the figurative faces everyone wears before they are ever allowed to handle the literal ones. Once you have mastered the silent language of the face, your training moves to the spoken word. You are sent out from the sterile quiet of the temple and back into the vibrant chaos of bravos. But you are not yourself. You are given a new role, a new temporary face. Today, you are a dockhand. Tomorrow, a seller of oysters. The day after, an orphan begging near the temples of the foreign gods. Your task is not to work or to beg. It is to listen, to absorb, to learn. Bravos is a nexus of trade, a city where the entire world comes to haggle. The air hums with the dialects of the free cities, the guttural tones of Westerosi sailors, and the flowing speech of the summer isles. You must learn them all. This is not classroom learning with neat chalkboards and patient tutors. This is total, unforgiving immersion. You learn Pentoshi by eavesdropping on merchants. You learn the common tongue by sharing watered wine with sailors. You learn High Valyrian by serving the priests in other, lesser temples. Failure to understand means you go hungry. Failure to be understood means a beating in a back alley. Your mind becomes a chaotic library of syntax and vocabulary. Verbs and nouns jumble together. Accents shift and blur. It is a grueling mental exercise, a constant, straining effort to keep the languages separate, to perfect the roll of one and the lisp of another is. The reality is, you have been enrolled in the world's most demanding and least supportive study abroad program. The curriculum is survival. The final exam is invisibility. Let's just say this isn't about becoming a charming polyglot for diplomatic functions. It is about forging a vocal key for every lock in the world. Slowly, painfully, fluency comes. Not just the words, but the rhythm, the slang, the soul of the language. You learn to curse like a Licini sailor and pray like a Myrish priestess. You can slip between tongues as easily as a shadow slips between buildings. You are no longer just a liar. You are a living, breathing instrument of mimicry, ready for the field. This intense linguistic training is a cornerstone of the Faceless men's operational effectiveness. A magical disguise, the face of another, is useless if the voice that comes from it is wrong. An accent can betray a man faster than his own name. By forcing acolytes to achieve flawless fluency through immersion, the Guild ensures its agents can infiltrate any social stratum, in any city in the world. It provides the essential audio component to their visual disguises. This skill is what elevates them from a local cult of killers into a truly international force, able to deliver the many-faced God's gift to anyone, anywhere, without ever being noticed. Your training in the temple and the city has reached its conclusion. You have been emptied, refitted, and sharpened. Now it is time to see if the tool works. You are brought before the kindly man, but this time there is no game. He simply tells you a name, a ship's captain who cheats his sailors on their pay and dabbles in insurance fraud by scuttling his own vessels. A desperate merchant, ruined by the man's schemes, has made a prayer and paid the price. Your price. You are the answer to that prayer. There is no grand armory. You are not outfitted with legendary weapons. You are given a small, sharp knife, easily concealed, and a vial containing a clear, odorless liquid, a poison that mimics a sudden seizure of the heart. The choice of method is yours, but the requirement is absolute. It must be clean. It must be quiet. It must look like anything other than what it is. An accident, a robbery gone wrong, a drunken fall into the harbor. You are not there to make a statement. You are there to remove a piece from the board. You find the man in a dockside tavern. The air is thick with the smell of stale beer, sweat, and wet wool. He is loud, obnoxious. A man whose presence fills the room with a greasy confidence. You watch him from a dark corner, your face a neutral mask, your pulse a slow, steady drum. All your training converges in this moment. You see the tells in his posture, the arrogance of a man who believes he is untouchable. You hear the cadence of his lies as he boasts to his companions. You are no longer a person. You are a predator, and this is your designated prey. The reality is, your first kill is not for a king or a tyrant. It is pest control. You are not a righteous arbiter of justice. You are a divine contractor, fulfilling the terms of a service agreement. The gift is simply a transaction, a debt being paid. You follow him into the night. The alley is dark. The deed is quick. There is no struggle, no dramatic final words, just a surprised grunt, a brief, wet sound, and then silence. You feel nothing. Not pride, not remorse, just the quiet completion of a task. You slip back into the shadows, leaving a body that will be found by morning. The first assignment for an acolyte is never a target of significance. It is a test of obedience, discretion, and, most importantly, emotional detachment. The faceless men do not kill based on morality. They kill for a price, and that price is always calibrated to be of immense value to the client, ensuring only the truly desperate seek their services. This system positions them not as common assassins, but as agents of a grim cosmic balance. The initial, mundane contract serves as a final examination. It proves the graduate can perform their function without ego or hesitation, confirming they are no longer a person, but a perfect, unfeeling instrument of their God. You have proven you can take a life. Now you must prove you can live without the most essential part of your own. One morning you wake up and the world is gone. A milky film covers your eyes. The shapes of the dormitory are vague, indistinct blurs. A special ingredient in your evening milk has delivered the gift of blindness. There is no explanation, no sympathy. Your chores are still your chores. The game of faces continues. You are simply expected to adapt or fail. Panic is the first sensation. A cold, tight knot in your chest. You stumble. You collide with walls you know are there. The familiar geography of the temple has become a hostile, unknown landscape. The cold stone floor against your bare feet is your only map. The echo of your own footsteps is your only guide. Every sound is magnified. The drip of water in a distant chamber, the whisper of a robe passing in the hall, the scuttling of a rat behind the walls. Your world, once dominated by sight, is now a terrifying, intricate symphony of sounds and textures. This is not a mystical trial. It is a forced and brutal recalibration of your entire sensory apparatus. You learn to navigate by the subtle drafts of air that signal an open doorway. You learn to identify the other acolytes by the unique rhythm of their gait. In the game of faces, you learn to hear the lie in the slight hesitation of a breath, to feel the vibration of a false word through the floor. The reality is, this is the most extreme form of occupational therapy imaginable. Let's just say they have removed your primary data input to force the secondary systems to upgrade. It is a terrifying but ruthlessly effective way to sharpen the tools you never knew you had. Days bleed into weeks. The stumbling ceases. The fear recedes. You move through the blackness with a new, fluid confidence. Your hands paint a picture of the world through touch. Your ears map the architecture of the rooms. You have not conquered the darkness. You have become a part of it. You have learned to see without eyes. This forced blindness is a critical, transformative stage in the training of a faceless man. Its purpose is to shatter the acolyte's dependence on sight, the sense most easily deceived by disguises, shadows, and lies. By honing their hearing, touch, and spatial awareness to a preternatural degree, the training makes them adaptable to any environment, especially the darkness that is so often their ally. It ensures that when they eventually wear another's face, they are not merely relying on the false image in the mirror, but are perceiving the world with a suite of senses that cannot be so easily fooled. It is the final destruction of the human vessel's limitations, preparing them for a state of being where a face is just a tool, not a window to the soul. Your sight returns as gradually as it left. The world bleeds back into existence, sharper and more detailed than you remember. The first thing you see clearly is the kindly man's face, unreadable as ever. He nods once, a silent acknowledgement of your success. You have passed the trial of darkness. Your reward is to be shown the heart of it. He leads you down a winding stair, deep into the foundations of the temple, to a door that has remained locked to you until now. He opens it, and the smell hits you first. It is sharp, chemical, the scent of preserving fluids and tanning agents, layered over a faint, dry, papery smell you can't quite identify. It is the smell of a tannery mixed with a library of skin. You step inside. The room is a vast, circular vault, impossibly large to be hidden beneath the house. And on the walls, stretching up into the gloom, are shelves. And on the shelves are faces. Thousands of them. They are arranged in neat rows like masks in a grotesque shop. The faces of men, women, and children of every race and nation. Some are serene, their expressions placid. Others are frozen in a final moment of pain or surprise. Thin skins of humanity, cured and preserved, their dead eyes staring out into the cold, still air of the vault. This is not a sanctuary. It is a storeroom, a macabre catalogue of every life that has been given to the many-faced God. You are standing in the world's most disturbing walk-in closet. The kindly man gestures to the silent congregation on the walls. He speaks with the calm, detached air of an archivist explaining his filing system. Each face is a life, a story, a tool. The reality is, you are looking at the Guild's entire inventory of assets. This is not just a collection of disguises. It's a physical ledger of answered prayers. Let's just say you are finally being allowed access to the company's most valuable and proprietary equipment. And now, it is time for your first fitting. This vault is the nexus of the Faceless men's power, where the practical and the magical merge. The faces themselves are not simple leather masks. They are imbued with a subtle power, harvested from the final breath of the departed. However, the magic is not just in the skin, it is in the wearer. All the preceding training, the erasure of self, the stripping of ego, was the necessary prerequisite. To wear another's face, the acolyte must first be a true no one, a blank space for the new identity to fill. If any trace of their old self remains, the face will not hold, the transformation will fail. The sanctum is not just storage. It is the ultimate test of whether the acolyte has truly become an empty vessel. The kindly man selects a face from the wall. It is not the face of a hero or a beauty. It is the face of a plain, middle-aged woman, her expression one of weary resignation. This is your first disguise. He brings it to you. The chemical smell is overpowering up close. He instructs you to lie down on a cold stone slab. There is no grand incantation, no shimmering lights. This is not that kind of magic. This is something far more primal and far more visceral. He takes a small, sharp obsidian blade and makes a thin cut along your hairline. A line of blood wells up. Then he lays the cold, leathery skin of the dead woman over your own. The contact is a shock. It is clammy, foreign, wrong. A wave of nausea rolls through you. He presses down, and a strange, agonizing process begins. It feels like your own skin is trying to crawl away. It is not a magical shimmer. It is a painful, biological graft, a supernatural violation. You are instructed to empty your mind, to be no one, to accept the gift. But a part of you resists. A part of you screams. You are brought a polished silver mirror. The face you see is a nightmare, a horrifying chimera of your own features, twisted and distorted beneath the overlay of the dead woman's skin. One of your eyes peers out, wide with terror, while the other is her dull, lifeless orb. Her cheekbone is sharp and defined, while your own jawline juts out beneath it. The reality is, This isn't a simple transformation. It is a grotesque and deeply invasive form of supernatural cosmetic surgery. And your body is rejecting the transplant. Let's just say the process has significant and unpleasant side effects. He tells you to try again, to let go, to truly, finally, become nothing. You close your eyes. You force down the panic. You retreat into the quiet, empty space you have cultivated within yourself through pain and labor and loss. You extinguish the final flicker of your own name. There is a strange, wet, shifting sensation across your entire face. It is still painful, but the resistance is gone. You open your eyes. The face in the mirror is no longer a monster. It is the woman. Her wariness is your wariness. Her face is your face. You are gone. Wearing a face is not a passive act. It is a constant, conscious act of self-suppression. The magic that binds the dead skin to the living requires the host to be a nullity. The moment a strong emotion or a vivid memory from the wearer's past emerges, the connection can fray. The illusion can falter. The dead skin pulling away from the living, causing searing pain and revealing the true identity beneath. This is the hidden cost of the faceless men's greatest weapon. Every moment spent in disguise is a psychological battle, a constant vigil against the ghost of their own self. It is the ultimate test of their training, repeated every single time they go to work. Now that you can wear another's skin, you are brought into the business side of the operation. You begin to observe the supplicants who come to the temple, not as a cleaner, but as an assessor. You learn the grim mathematics of the many-faced god. A desperate merchant comes, weeping, telling a story of a ruinous competitor. He offers a chest of gold. The priest who meets him refuses. The gold is not the true price. The man must give up something he truly values. He returns a day later and offers the deed to his ancestral home. The priest refuses again. Finally, the man comes back, defeated, and offers his own daughter to the service of the house. The priest accepts. The contract is sealed. You learn that the gift of death is never cheap. The price is always calibrated to be a true sacrifice, a cost that fundamentally alters the life of the supplicant. For a wealthy man, it might be the vast majority of his fortune. For a poor man, it might be his own face, his own life spent in service after the deed is done. This is not commerce. It is theology. The god of death does not deal in market rates. He demands a toll paid in sorrow, love, and identity. You are learning to be an appraiser of souls, a calculator of unbearable costs. The process is methodical. It is analytical. You are taught to listen to a supplicant's story and identify their deepest attachment, their most precious possession, and then to demand it. The reality is, you are being trained as a supernatural actuary, calculating the precise premium for terminating a life. You are the accounts department for a divine entity, and the books must be balanced not in gold, but in sacrifice. Let's just say this makes the Iron Bank of Bravos look like a benevolent lending society. Your work is not to haggle, but to identify the breaking point of a person's heart and set the price there. You internalize the cold logic. You learn to look at a person and see not a soul, but a ledger of attachments. You understand that every life has a value, and that value can be quantified by the pain its absence will cause, or the pain a client is willing to endure to see it ended. The empathy you once had has been replaced by a chilling, analytical clarity. You are almost ready. This unique and brutal economic model is the philosophical bedrock of the faceless men. By demanding a price of true sacrifice, They ensure their power is never used frivolously. It prevents them from becoming mere assassins for hire, easily bought by the rich to settle petty disputes. This system acts as their moral and ethical filter, confirming the supplicant's desperation and the weight of their prayer. It is this grim calculus that elevates their work from murder to sacrament, reinforcing their status as servants of a god, not masters of a trade. It is the reason their existence is a deeply feared and respected constant in a world of shifting allegiances. You have learned to see without eyes, to lie without speaking, and to wear death as a disguise. You have become a scholar of value and a dealer in sacrifice. Now comes the final test. A contract is issued. A life has been paid for. You are given a face, a location, and a name. But as you study the details, a cold dread you have not felt in years begins to seep into the hollow space where your soul used to be. The target is not a stranger. The target is a ghost from your old life. It may not be a person you knew by name, but their story is your story. If you were a soldier who fled the horrors of war, your target is a brutal mercenary captain who glories in it. If you were a merchant ruined by a competitor, your target is a moneylender known for his predatory cruelty. The guild has found a living, breathing symbol of the trauma that drove you to their door, and they have ordered you to kill it. You must travel to a place that reminds you of home, wearing a stranger's skin, and confront the reason you sought to become no one. This is not a simple assignment. It is the most sophisticated and cruel form of psychological audit ever devised. A final, live fire stress test to see if your conditioning holds. As you stalk your prey, memories you thought were buried forever begin to surface. The smell of burning fields, the taste of fear, the face of someone you loved. For a moment, the stranger's face you wear feels alien. It threatens to slip. The pain is immense. A war rages within you. The person you were fights against the nothing you have become. The reality is, this is the ultimate exposure therapy. You are being forced to confront the source of your pain, not to understand it, but to extinguish it, to prove that the connection is truly severed. Let's just say this is your graduation ceremony, and the final exam is a carefully orchestrated, therapeutic assassination of your own past. You corner your target. They look at you, the stranger, and see nothing. But you look at them and see everything you ran from, and you deliver the gift. The final piece of your old self dies with them. This final, deeply personal assignment is the ultimate rite of passage for a faceless man. It is the guild's guarantee that the instrument is flawless. By forcing an acolyte to eliminate a living effigy of their past trauma without hesitation, the kindly man confirms that no emotional tethers remain. It proves that the agent will not be compromised by old loyalties, latent hatreds, or sudden flashes of memory while on a mission. Passing this test is not merely about completing a contract. It is the final, violent act of murdering your own ghost, ensuring that the person you once were is not just buried, but utterly and irrevocably annihilated. You return to the house of black and white. The silence that greets you is the same, but you hear it differently now. It is not an absence of sound. It is a presence, a state of being. You have returned not as a student, but as a graduate. There is no feast, no ceremony, no acknowledgement of your victory. Such things are for people who have egos to stroke. You have none. Your successful mission is simply a fact, a closed ledger. The kindly man looks at you, and for the first time, you see a flicker of something in his eyes. It is not approval. It is recognition. He is seeing a reflection of himself. You are given new quarters, deeper within the temple, far from the public areas. You are granted unrestricted access to the sanctum of faces. They are your tools now, your wardrobe of selves. You might look in a mirror and see the face you were born with, the skin you wore for years. You feel nothing. It is just another mask in the collection, and not a particularly useful one. It carries too much history, too much data. It is a liability. Your new identity is the absence of one. Your life is now a cycle of waiting and working. You will be given a contract. You will select a face. You will perform the task. You will return to the silence. The reality of your situation is this: after the most grueling and psychologically destructive training imaginable, you have finally landed a permanent position. You are no longer an apprentice. You are a fully vested employee of the god of death. Let's just say you have achieved a state of ultimate, hollowed-out professionalism. Congratulations, you are no one. The Faceless men are one of the most enigmatic and feared institutions in the world, not because of their skill with blades or poisons, but because of what they represent. They are the living embodiment of a theological truth that death is the great equalizer, and it can be petitioned like any other god. Their existence is a quiet, terrifying check on the power of kings, merchants, and magi, a constant reminder that no wall is high enough and no army is large enough to protect a person from a truly dedicated supplicant. The journey to become one of them is a testament to the complete and total annihilation of the self, a process that transforms a broken person into a perfect, conscious weapon. They are not merely assassins. They are a fundamental force of the world, a sacrament in the flesh, proving that while all men must serve, all men must also die.